Hey everyone, welcome back. In the last video we made a ton of progress, especially on this side over here. We completed the first floating blue structure, as you could see. Went over and pretty much did the roof to this area over here, which came out looking incredible, especially with all the cool lines of lava just to light everything up on the roof. I started out here with finishing up these star designs I was doing. There's a ton of depth in this roof, so I just wanted to keep that theme going. And then I also finally started doing the interior of this build over here. I personally hate doing interiors, so this is very tedious for me, and I didn't do it the whole video, but I definitely made a ton of progress on the interior. I think every part of this build going forward, I'll start with like a few hours of doing the interior and then I'll move to something else. My idea here was just to add a lot of pillars to look like it's supporting the roof above, and then also start making pathways. You can see I started with the staircase there and then added a bunch of lighting as we went. I wanted to keep the same colors going inside just to make it look uniform too. I did a lot with the ceiling of this area too. I wanted that to look clean instead of just like random blocks. I went in and started adding like rows of red logs and rows of lava, just again to keep everything uniform with what we already had. There was a lot of like lava leaking through from the top part we built, so I had to patch that all up too. And I had to tweak the ceiling a lot to get it looking right. I obviously didn't want it to come too low where you couldn't walk, but I wanted it to come pretty low. The lower we made it go, the ceiling I mean, the more depth we could add into it. I had pretty much finished most of that area up there, and then I went down here and started building this little hallway. I wanted to connect this staircase up with the walls that we built. We'll get to that in a minute though. I did a ton of tweaking here with these lanterns and then went back and finished up this entrance. You can see I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for lighting, but I ended up just adding a shit ton of lanterns and rolling with it. I made a giant pillar here as well. Had to do something with this big empty space, so I just made a circle and a pillar. Added some little walls over there. There was lava strips behind those walls, so all the light behind them made them look pretty sick. I added some lava in the middle of the pillar there. I wasn't fully done with this area when we moved on, but I'm going to come back to it at the beginning of the next video. I tweaked this a ton just because I wasn't really happy with what we were getting, and I kept coming back to the ceiling too. That was like probably my main focus here. I also kept adding these diagonals. They made it kind of harder to walk around, but you're supposed to be kind of relegated to the path I was building when you're inside the castle anyway, so it worked out. And I went super heavy with the fences and the walls here too, because that was the theme up above this area as well. I ended up getting bored of that and just wanted to finish up the staircase, so I worked on this for a while as well. I think these little areas with the lava strips came out really well. We focused into it right now and then back out, and I did the ceilings above, copy and pasted everything over to the other side. There was obviously this big issue of this ceiling up here. You could see like lava leaking through the slabs. Patched that all out, finished up the staircase here. Wanted to do some stuff with paintings, but I couldn't really figure anything out. But we went back outside up here. I ended up getting super bored of that interior, so I went up here and I copy and pasted everything over. And after I copy and pasted everything over, I decided I didn't just want to have a repeat of the side we had already created, so I did something a little different, and I just added these solid walls for now, and then eventually we'll just add a floor below. I didn't want to just keep copy and pasting parts of the castle over. I wanted to do something unique on that side. And then I also wanted to fix these quartz pillars. They just weren't really detailed enough for the rest of the build, so I went through and I fixed those up a little bit. mostly just adding lines and lines and more depth to the whole thing. I think this was one of my favorite parts of the video today. It was just adding a bunch of depth to these pillars because it ended up coming out super nice. Much better than before, at least. For the rest of the video, we're pretty much up here. I wanted to continue on this giant tower that we had made just to finally finish it up. I went heavy with the glass panes in this area just to give it a more whimsical look. I added a bridge over to this part. I just made a circle and then I started detailing it a little bit. With the details, I just again went with the fences and the glass panes. And then one of my favorite things to build is bridges, so I started on the bridge up there. I went back down here to finally actually finish this area. Continued on the bridge. I love making bridges in this game. I don't know what it is. It's probably like my favorite thing to build besides like giant towers for some reason. I wanted to make these windows or entrances really detailed and really smooth looking, if that makes sense. I wanted the corners to be like upside down stairs just to add more corner detail. I did up the interior a little bit and then I went back out right away. I worked on this part for a pretty long time and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with the roof, but I kind of left it and then I came back to it in a little bit. Now this bridge part ended up coming out super nice. I did a ton of experimenting with this facade here. I decided there was way too much blue, so I ended up patching that up and just using the regular quartz instead. I come back to the roof here, finish it up a little bit, and I wanted this to match the giant blue floating structure we already had, so I had to add like a little thing that makes it look like it's floating. And I was thinking the corners here looked a little weird, so I wanted to add something that kind of covered those up. I added this giant like facade and then I got bored of that and switched to the bridge, but came back to it relatively quickly and then decided I didn't like it and started to try to redesign it, but I also wasn't liking any of the redesigns, so I just got rid of the whole thing and then tried a different design where it came out to the side instead of going above and below. And this ended up coming out like exactly what I wanted it to look like. And what I ended up doing is, for symmetry's sake, I ran a copy of the bridge we'd already made underneath. I ran it underneath the new part that we just made. And I just integrated the new part into the top of the bridge to make it look fluid. I love how that came out. And then I still wasn't really happy with this floating part, so I just made little holes over here for detail. Added some quartz in there. There wasn't enough white down there, so I had to fix that up. Anyway, I copy and pasted the entire part we just built over, and I finished the middle part of the bridge. I did up the interior a little bit. It didn't take me too long. These interiors are pretty small. I just wanted them to look like the rest of the build. Now I wanted to make this build continue going up, maybe even to height limit. So I started adding like layers above and behind the part we just built. I started out with like building windows. Didn't really like how that looked, so I tried to fix them up, but I wasn't really getting anything I was liking. In the next part, I'll definitely be like deleting all those and redoing it. But this is a quick overview of what we did today. We didn't do too much, but there was like a lot of trial and error in this video, and that's why it took so long to get the progress that we did. Anyways, I had a lot of fun today, guys. thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It does help me out. I plan on being pretty consistent on this channel, so you know, it would help if you subscribed. You'll get my videos in your feed. Thanks.